They taught you to sit quietly, obey loudly, and dream small. And somewhere along the way you felt it, the ache that says you were built for more than clocks, bosses, and permission slips. You wake up every day with a fire in your chest and chains on your wrists, told that safety is success and comfort is winning, yet your soul knows that comfort is the cage. You feel guilty for wanting wealth, ashamed for craving power, judged for chasing freedom, but listen closely, that hunger isn't evil, it's evidence. Evidence you were not designed to be average, managed, or controlled. The world runs on rules written by people who feared competition, and they sell you distractions so you never notice the exit door standing wide open. You are not tired. You are trapped. You are not unlucky. You are untrained. And the moment you accept responsibility for every result in your life, the matrix starts to crack. Keynote 1: ownership beats excuses, because victims wait while leaders move. Keynote 2: skills are the real currency, because value buys leverage and leverage buys freedom. Keynote 3: discipline is daily rebellion, because consistency terrifies systems built on weakness. Keynote 4: time is the true wealth, because anyone who controls your hours controls your future. Decide today to burn the cage. Refuse comfort, cut excuses, build skills, stack leverage, guard your time, train your body, sharpen your mind, and demand results. When fear speaks, move. When doubt whispers, work. Freedom rewards the relentless. Power answers discipline. Wealth follows value. Choose action over approval, ownership over pity, creation over consumption. Walk out now, or stay obedient forever without regret or delay. Discipline is not punishment, it is permission. The permission to live life on your terms instead of reacting to whatever mood, fear, or excuse shows up that day. Most people think freedom means doing whatever they feel like, but that lie is exactly why they stay broke, weak, and controlled. When you wake up and let emotions decide your actions, you hand over the steering wheel of your life to chaos. One bad mood and you skip the gym. One moment of fear and you avoid the hard conversation. One wave of comfort and you delay the work that could change everything. That is not freedom. That is emotional slavery. Real freedom begins the moment you decide that how you feel no longer has authority over what you do. Discipline is waking up when it's uncomfortable. Discipline is working when motivation disappears. Discipline is saying no to short-term pleasure so you can say yes to long-term power. Every time you act with discipline, you are telling your emotions, your environment, and the system itself, you do not control me anymore. Look closely at your worst habits and you'll see the truth. Overeating, scrolling endlessly, procrastinating, quitting early, none of these are logical decisions. They are emotional reactions. You felt bored, so you escaped. You felt tired, so you stopped. You felt afraid, so you avoided. Discipline cuts through all of that. It does not care how you feel. It cares about the result. And results are what create confidence, wealth, respect, and independence. The strongest people in the world are not the most talented, the smartest, or the luckiest. They are the most disciplined. They train themselves to act correctly even when every emotion screamed to do the opposite. That is why they rise while others repeat the same year over and over again. Without discipline, your mind becomes your enemy. Your emotions will negotiate against your goals. They will convince you that tomorrow is better than today, that rest is earned before work, that comfort is deserved before sacrifice. Discipline shuts down that internal noise. It creates structure, and structure creates clarity. When your day is planned, when your standards are non-negotiable, when your habits are locked in, life becomes simple. You no longer debate whether to work, you work. You no longer argue with yourself about effort, you execute. And in that simplicity, freedom is born. Freedom from anxiety because you know you did the work. Freedom from regret because you didn't quit on yourself. Freedom from external control because disciplined people are hard to manipulate. Discipline also builds self-respect, and self-respect changes everything. When you consistently keep promises to yourself, your confidence stops being fake motivation and starts becoming unshakable belief. You walk differently. You speak differently. You tolerate less nonsense from people and situations that drain you. That is power. And power attracts opportunity. People trust disciplined individuals. Businesses grow around them. Money flows toward them because discipline creates reliability, and reliability creates value. No one pays emotionally unstable people with potential. They pay disciplined people with proof. The world benefits when you lack discipline. A distracted, emotional population is easy to sell, easy to scare, easy to control. That's why comfort is pushed so aggressively. That's why discipline is mocked as extreme. That's why weakness is rebranded as self-care. But deep down, you know the truth. Every time you choose comfort over discipline, you feel smaller. Every time you push through resistance, you feel stronger. That feeling is not accidental. It's your instinct recognizing alignment. You were built to overcome resistance, not avoid it. Discipline does not remove joy from life, it multiplies it. The pleasure of earned success is deeper than any cheap dopamine hit. The peace of a disciplined mind is louder than any external validation. When your body is trained, your finances are structured, your skills are sharp, and your time is protected, you experience a level of freedom most people never touch. You are no longer reacting, you are deciding. You are no longer hoping, you are building. You are no longer surviving, you are commanding your direction. If you want freedom, stop asking how to feel better and start asking how to act better. Train discipline daily in small, ruthless ways. Show up when it's boring. Finish when it's hard. Stay consistent when no one is watching. Over time, discipline will harden your mind, strengthen your character, and unlock doors emotions never could. Because the truth is simple and unforgiving. The man who controls his actions controls his future, and the man who controls his future is truly free. Discipline is the invisible line between the life you imagine and the life you actually live, and most people never cross it because they are waiting to feel ready. That is the trap. Feelings are unreliable, unstable, and easily manipulated by comfort, fear, and distraction. If you wait to feel motivated, confident, or inspired, you will wait your entire life. Discipline moves first and lets emotions catch up later. That is why disciplined people seem lucky. They are not blessed, they are consistent. They don't ask how they feel in the morning, they ask what must be done. And that single shift is what separates freedom from lifelong frustration. Every emotion wants immediate relief. Hunger wants to be fed, boredom wants entertainment, fear wants safety, and ego wants validation. None of these emotions care about your future. They only care about now. Without discipline, you obey them instantly. And over time, they build habits that quietly destroy your potential. You scroll instead of studying. You sleep instead of training. You complain instead of building. Then years pass, and you wonder why nothing changed. Discipline is the ability to delay emotional relief in favor of long-term gain. It is the muscle that allows you to feel discomfort without escaping it. And the moment you stop running from discomfort, you stop being controllable. Look at how society is structured. Everything around you is designed to weaken discipline, endless entertainment, instant gratification, shortcuts, excuses dressed up as kindness. Why? Because disciplined people are dangerous to systems built on dependency. A disciplined person needs less reassurance, less permission, less external validation. They create their own momentum. They think clearly under pressure. They don't panic when things get hard. That level of self-control looks like freedom to the individual, but it looks like rebellion to a system that profits from weakness. When you master discipline, you step out of that cycle quietly, without permission, without applause. Discipline also exposes the lie of talent. Talent without discipline is just unused potential. Intelligence without discipline becomes overthinking. Passion without discipline becomes burnout. Discipline turns ordinary ability into extraordinary results through repetition and standard. When you train yourself to do the right thing, even when it's inconvenient, your confidence becomes real. You don't hope you can handle pressure. You've proven it to yourself. That self-trust is priceless. It cannot be taken by critics, bad days, or temporary failure. It is built one disciplined action at a time. When discipline enters your life, emotions lose their dictatorship. Fear still shows up, but it no longer decides. Laziness still whispers, but it no longer commands. Doubt still appears, but it doesn't stop execution. This is where freedom lives, not in the absence of emotion, but in mastery over it. You become calm in chaos, focused under stress, steady when others panic. That inner stability gives you an unfair advantage in business, relationships, and personal growth. While others react, you respond. While others seek comfort, you seek progress. And progress compounds faster than motivation ever could. Discipline also forces honesty. It removes the ability to lie to yourself. You can't pretend you want success if your daily actions don't support it. That confrontation is uncomfortable, but it is powerful. Once you accept that results are a mirror of behavior, not circumstance. You gain control. You stop blaming the past, the economy, your upbringing, or other people. Responsibility becomes your weapon. And with responsibility comes freedom, because what you control, you can change. Over time, discipline builds momentum. Small actions stack into habits. Habits turn into identity. You stop trying to be disciplined. You become disciplined. At that point, freedom is no longer a dream. It's your default state. Your body responds to command. Your mind stays sharp. Your time is protected. Your goals are not fantasies. They are projects with deadlines. You live intentionally, not emotionally. And that is the ultimate truth. Freedom is not given. It is built through discipline. Daily, especially on the days you don't feel like it. Discipline is the line you draw in the sand that tells your emotions they no longer run the show. Without that line, life becomes a series of reactions, reacting to stress, reacting to temptation, reacting to fear. Until one day you look back and realize years were spent obeying feelings that never cared about your future. Emotions are powerful, but they are short-sighted. They crave comfort now and avoid pain now, even if that choice costs you everything later. Discipline is the courage to choose the later reward over the instant escape again and again until your life reflects intention instead of impulse. Most people confuse freedom with indulgence. They think being free means sleeping in, skipping the hard work, spending money recklessly, eating whatever they want, and avoiding discomfort. But indulgence always comes with a price, and the bill always arrives late. The man who eats whatever he feels like becomes trapped in his own body. The man who spends whatever he feels like becomes trapped by debt. The man who works only when he feels motivated becomes trapped in mediocrity. Discipline flips that equation. It accepts short-term discomfort to eliminate long-term suffering. That trade is the foundation of real freedom. Emotional slavery is subtle. It doesn't feel like chains at first. It feels like, I'll do it later. I deserve a break. I'm just not in the mood today. Those small decisions seem harmless, but they stack. Over time, they harden into habits. And habits solidify into identity. You don't wake up one day weak and unfocused. You become that way through thousands of emotionally driven choices. Discipline interrupts that process. It forces you to act in alignment with your standards, not your moods. And standards, unlike emotions, are stable. When you practice discipline, you train your nervous system to tolerate pressure. You teach your body and mind that discomfort is not an emergency. This is critical because the world rewards people who can stay calm while others fold. Business, leadership, and personal growth all demand the ability to operate under stress. If emotions control you, stress controls you. If discipline controls you, stress becomes fuel. You don't panic when things get hard, you lock in. That ability alone separates leaders from followers, winners from complainers. Discipline also sharpens decision-making. Emotional people make inconsistent choices because their internal state keeps changing. Disciplined people rely on systems and rules they decided in advance. They remove emotion from execution. They don't negotiate with themselves every morning about whether to train, work, or learn. They already decided who they are. That clarity saves enormous mental energy. Instead of fighting yourself, you direct yourself. And when your mind is not busy arguing, it becomes powerful. There is a quiet confidence that comes from discipline that no hype or motivation can replicate. It comes from knowing that when things get uncomfortable, you don't quit. That self-knowledge is rare, and it changes how you carry yourself. You stop needing approval. You stop explaining your goals. You stop reacting to criticism. Disciplined people don't need to announce strength. It shows in their consistency. That presence attracts respect and opportunity because it signals reliability. In a chaotic world, reliability is valuable. Without discipline, freedom becomes a fantasy you talk about but never touch. You might watch others live boldly and tell yourself they are different, gifted, or lucky. But the truth is simpler and harsher. They are willing to do what you avoid. They act when emotions say stop. They stay consistent when boredom sets in. They keep promises to themselves when no one is watching. Discipline is not glamorous, but it is undefeated. Over time, it beats talent, luck, and motivation every single time. The system thrives when you are emotionally reactive. Anger keeps you distracted. Fear keeps you compliant. Pleasure keeps you passive. Discipline cuts through all of that. It makes you predictable to yourself and unpredictable to forces that want to control you. When you control your impulses, you control your schedule. When you control your schedule, You control your output. When you control your output, you control your results. That chain is how freedom is built, link by link. True discipline is not extreme, it is precise. It is choosing sleep over scrolling, training over excuses, learning over entertainment, action over talk. These choices seem small, but they compound quietly. Months later, your body is stronger, your mind is sharper, your finances are steadier, and your confidence is grounded in evidence. At that point, emotions no longer scare you. You can feel fear and still move. You can feel tired and still execute. You can feel doubt and still commit. That is mastery. In the end, discipline does not remove emotion from your life. It puts it in its proper place. Emotions become signals, not commands. You listen, but you decide. And that ability to decide in spite of feeling is the highest form of freedom available to a human being. Because the man who cannot control himself will always be controlled by something else. But the man who masters discipline builds a life that no mood, no pressure, and no system can take away. Discipline is the backbone of identity, the quiet force that decides who you become long before results show up on the surface. Without it, your life is shaped by whatever emotion happens to be loudest in the moment. And loud emotions are rarely intelligent. They chase relief, not growth. They want comfort, not control. That is why a life without discipline feels busy but goes nowhere. You move a lot, feel a lot, talk a lot, yet nothing truly changes. Discipline is what turns motion into direction and direction into freedom. Every time you choose discipline, you are training your future self. You are casting a vote for the person you want to be when pressure hits. Most people wait for the moment of crisis to discover who they are, and that is when emotions betray them. Discipline prepares you in advance. It builds automatic responses, so when fear appears, you don't freeze. When temptation shows up, you don't fold. When pain arrives, you don't quit. That preparation is freedom, because freedom is not living without obstacles. It is being strong enough to move through them without losing yourself. Emotions are not the enemy, but they are terrible leaders. They exaggerate problems, distort reality, and push you toward extremes. One bad day convinces you your whole life is failing. One good moment tempts you to relax standards you fought hard to build. Discipline keeps you centered. It creates non-negotiables that stabilize your behavior regardless of emotional swings. When your actions are stable, your results become predictable. Predictable results create security, and security creates space to grow. That is how discipline quietly builds freedom from the inside out. Look at how many people feel trapped while technically being free. They can choose their job, their city, their lifestyle. Yet they feel anxious, overwhelmed, and dissatisfied. Why? Because emotional freedom without self-control becomes chaos. When you say yes to every impulse, you lose the ability to say yes to what truly matters. Discipline teaches selective focus. It teaches you to protect your energy, your time, and your standards. And the moment you start protecting those, your life expands instead of shrinking. Discipline also exposes the difference between comfort and peace. Comfort is temporary and addictive. Peace is stable and earned. Comfort avoids pain. Peace comes from knowing you can handle pain. Discipline builds that peace. When you know you can wake up early, do the hard work, face rejection, train your body, and sharpen your mind without breaking, fear loses its grip. You stop needing perfect conditions to move forward. That independence from circumstances is a rare form of freedom most people never experience. Another truth most avoid is that lack of discipline always hands power to something else. If you don't control your eating, food controls you. If you don't control your spending, money controls you. If you don't control your time, other people control you. Emotional decisions feel personal, but they create external dependence. Discipline reverses that. It internalizes control. You become the source of structure in your life instead of outsourcing it to motivation, pressure, or crisis. That self-generated structure is what allows disciplined people to move calmly while others panic. Discipline also sharpens respect for yourself and from others. When you hold yourself to a standard, people feel it. You don't need to announce it. Your consistency speaks. You show up on time. You finish what you start. You don't crumble under stress. In a world full of excuses, that reliability is rare, and rarity creates value. Value brings options. Options create freedom. That chain begins with discipline, not talent or luck. There is a moment every disciplined person reaches where effort turns into identity. You no longer try. To be focused, you are focused. You no longer force yourself to train. You train because that's who you are. At that point, freedom stops feeling like a goal and starts feeling like a baseline. You are not dragged by emotions, you move with intention. You feel deeply, but you act deliberately. You enjoy life more, not less, because your pleasures are chosen, not compulsive. The ultimate cost of ignoring discipline is not failure, it is regret. Regret from knowing you had the potential to be stronger, sharper, freer, but allowed emotions to dictate your path. Discipline protects you from that regret. It gives you proof at the end of the day that you did what you said you would do. And that proof builds a quiet pride that no external success can replace. In the end, discipline is not about restriction. It is about ownership. Ownership of your actions, your time, your future. When you own those, emotions no longer enslave you, they inform you. You listen, you adjust, but you remain in control. That control is the foundation of true freedom, and without it, no amount of money, status, or opportunity will ever be enough to save you from yourself. Listen carefully, because this is the line where excuses die and responsibility begins. No one is coming to rescue you from your habits, your fears, or your comfort. The life you are living right now is not an accident. It is the result of what you tolerate, what you repeat, and what you avoid. If that truth hurts, good. Pain is information. It's telling you that something must change, and change does not start with motivation, luck, or perfect timing. It starts with discipline. The powerful lesson is this: freedom is not a gift, it is a skill. And like every skill, it is built through daily practice. Every time you choose discipline over emotion, you reclaim a piece of your life. Every time you act despite fear, you weaken the chains that hold you down. You don't need to be perfect, you need to be consistent. Small discipline actions repeated daily will do what motivation never could. They will transform who you are. If you want a different future, you must become a different person. And that transformation begins the moment you stop negotiating with your weakness. Decide your standards. Protect your time. Train your body. Sharpen your mind. Do the work when it's boring, when it's uncomfortable, and when no one is watching. Because at the end of the day, the hardest truth is also the most empowering one. The same discipline that feels painful today will become the freedom you live in tomorrow.